ABC 13 Eyewitness News This Morning starts now.
The Army is coming to Houston. Governor Abbott says we have got to stop this COVID-19 surge, and we need some military muscle to do it. We'll show you the medical task force headed here next week.
And already heat index in the triple digits. We have heat advisory through 8 p.m. today. Be careful, take it slow outside, and again, stay cool. We'll have rain chances, though, by the end of the week. Fortunately, we'll talk more about that in my 10-day forecast. If you've missed it, up ahead.
And remembering specialist Vanessa Guillen. The event's happening today to support the Houston soldiers' cause and help her family.
Well, good Saturday morning, everybody. I'm Erica Simon.
And I'm Stephen Romo. Thanks for starting your weekend with us. Colin's been talking about it all morning. That heat getting to dangerous levels today, Colin.
I know. I'm sorry. I wish I had better news than this. I think I just said take it slow. No, if you're outside, go quickly. Get in and out.
Get in.
You don't want to be out there. Right. Yeah, exactly. Get in. Because right now, heat index of 100 in Katy and Houston. Look at that. It's just now 10 o'clock. That number came in at 9:53 a.m. 101 in Sugar Land feels like 104 in Bay City. So if you're waking up just now on your Saturday morning and, you know, it's fairly early and you think, boy, it's really hot, heat index of 100, no joke. There you go. 101 in Galveston, 104 in Winnie. And I think we're going to exceed the heat index projection of about 109 today in Houston. I have us up closer to 111 or 112 briefly. We will see a brief drop in humidity levels somewhere in the afternoon when winds kind of shift out of the southwest, and that'll allow us to hit an air temperature of, I think, 101 today. We hit 100 yesterday. Live look outside. It looks great. Apart from all of this, we'll talk about our temperatures and where they're headed with this high pressure ridge. Much more up ahead in about 8 minutes, plus relief on the way. It's on the 10-day. We'll show you more on that coming up in a little bit.
Now to the COVID-19 situation here in Texas. Several testing sites run by Harris County opened early today to try and beat that extreme heat. This as the number of confirmed new cases continues to grow. Let's show you a week-to-week comparison. Last week, Texas reported more than 44,000 new cases. This week, we hit more than 57,000 cases. This is just in a week's time. That is almost a 30% increase in 7 days.
Definitely concerning there, and a big development overnight. The governor announcing an Army medical unit deploying to help handle the surge in cases we're seeing right here in Houston. ABC 13's Micah Hatfield is live at San Jacinto College in Pasadena. Micah, there's a lot going on. The heat, now the Army team that is coming to town.
Hey, Stephen, there is a lot to get to today. First, I want to talk about the heat. Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo says they have procedures in place when it comes to heat and testing sites, because you know they are outside and it is a concern for healthcare workers. But in the last couple of days, they said it's just been too hot, so they've had to close testing sites early. In order to still get people tested and avoid putting healthcare workers at risk, San Jacinto College opened their testing site at about 6 o'clock this morning. Same went for the testing site in Cy-Fair, and there's been a very steady flow of people coming to this testing site ever since. Like I said, the Cy-Fair site also opened at 6 o'clock this morning, and these are testing sites that you do need an appointment for.
We just have to protect also the folks that are out there administering the tests as soon as they can go back out there and they're prepared to work with very high heat, just not this high. They'll be back out there.
Judge Hidalgo is calling for another stay-home order, but ultimately that's left up to Governor Abbott. He admits things are going to get worse in our state. We're setting records, what seems just about every day, for new cases and deaths from COVID-19. He's spoken about the possibility of shutting down the economy again, but says that is a very last resort.
The deaths that we are seeing announced today and yesterday, which are now over 100, those are people who likely contracted COVID-19 in late May. Remember, this massive spike occurred in the second or third week of June. And that's what led to this massive increase in hospitalizations, as well as people going to ICU units. And so actually the worst is yet to come as we work our way through that massive increase in people testing positive.
The federal government has also announced they're sending resources to Texas, specifically Houston, to help with the fight against COVID-19. A task force will be in Houston Monday to begin their efforts, an urban augmentation medical task force, and a disaster medical assistance team. The UAMTF consists of 85 people, including administrative staff, operational medicine, infectious disease, preventive medicine, nursing, and respiratory therapists. They do not have medicine or ICU capability, and they do not perform surgery. But the team is able to staff a 250-patient bed-filled medical station.
Throughout the morning, we did see a queue of dozens of people waiting to get up into this area in the tents where they're actually doing the testing that you're looking at right now. Right now, there is not a line. My photographer, Noe, and I have been talking about how quickly this site has been moving. Again, this is one that you do need an appointment for, and you can find out how to make an appointment on abc13.com. Live in Pasadena, Micah Hatfield, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
The Houston humidity is here, and unfortunately it's not going anywhere, but we've got some tips on how to avoid breakouts as we mask up in the heat. Doctors say the best way is to get back to basics, right? Which includes washing your face twice a day, both morning and night.
I sometimes recommend a foaming cleanser to really make sure that it's cutting the oil. And sometimes you can even use a cleanser with salicylic acid or benzoyl peroxide to really help decrease some of the oil and buildup on your skin.
Some other tips include using oil-free makeup wipes and trying to avoid outdoors between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Having the right mask is key in this heat. Paper masks that are typically one use won't last as long when they get wet, especially from sweat. N95 masks are not recommended because they are tight and harder to breathe in. Plus, experts say we really should be saving those for the medical professionals. Breathable cotton or cloth is the best choice and more manageable.
Well, we are months into the pandemic now, and our understanding of how the coronavirus behaves is still changing. Doctors and even our own immune systems have never seen a virus like this before. A new study showing why it may be even more contagious than we thought. Concerns and precautions for the coronavirus are just about everywhere now, but our understanding of it keeps evolving.
Aerosol droplets are so small that they can remain suspended in the air, especially in a stagnant indoor airspace, for many hours.
Dr. Scott Weaver with UTMB explains a new study showing just how long the virus can stay in the air.
And it turns out the longest time point we measured, 16 hours, the virus was still alive in aerosols created experimentally in a laboratory environment.
COVID-19 is understood to be transmitted by droplet. This study showing the tiny droplets can stay in the air for several hours. Meanwhile, a group of scientists not associated with this study are actually trying to get the virus reclassified as airborne transmitted.
Especially in an indoor environment, those droplets are the basis for saying try to maintain 6 feet from other people.
Social distancing is not a guarantee, but Weaver says it's one of our best tools. He says ventilation is also key and it's often overlooked. He says also wearing masks is one of our best defenses.
Well, I think the data are very clear that masking does make a difference.
Well, in addition to the global effort now to develop a vaccine, it's important to remember doctors and scientists are still just trying to understand how this virus works. Doctors say this information is especially key as parents and educators are trying to plan for back to school time.
School districts across the Houston area are releasing their fall semester plans. Each district is handling safety slightly differently. At Clear Creek ISD, principals will decide on mask rules, but at Alvin ISD, no one under the age of 10 will have to wear a mask at all. In Klein ISD, families will be allowed the option of in-person or virtual learning. This week, more districts are expected to release their plans, including Conroe, Spring Branch, and Friendswood school districts. It's important to remember that all these plans are just preliminary. Obviously, they could change at any time from now until the start of the school year based on the scientific data. We will, of course, keep you updated as more plans are announced. All you have to do is go to abc13.com/schools for the very latest. On Monday night at 10, investigative reporter Ted Oberg is going to share results from surveys he and his team sent to 100 area school districts. This next video could be a glimpse of the future. In Northern California, researchers at UCSF, are teaching kids how to do their own COVID-19 test at this summer camp in hopes that schools could use a similar system in the future. They clean their mouth by using what looks like a toothbrush and then rub their cheeks for 2 minutes. They also have to rub a swab along the inside of their nose, just inside the nostril. But the fear isn't just about schools. Nearly 1,800 COVID-19 cases have broken out at child care operations across the country. That's a 750% increase in less than a month. And we know many of you are worried about your little ones and your parents. There are more nursing homes in Texas than any other state, 1,218 of them to be exact. ABC News reviewed state data. In mid-May, nursing homes in Texas reported 561 deaths from COVID-19. By last week, that number nearly doubled to 1,035 deaths. Last month alone, Star State formed rapid response strike teams to go to any nursing care facility showing early signs of an outbreak.
The AARP has a checklist for anyone who has a loved one in a nursing home or who needs to move them into one. Some of the questions you may want to ask: has anyone tested positive, including vendors who come in and out? Ask to see what the staff is doing to protect residents, especially those who don't have a private room, and how the staff members are being screened themselves. Do they have enough masks, face shields, gowns, and gloves? And finally, is the facility at full staff? You should also look into how you will be told if there are COVID-19 infections that popped up and how you can connect with your loved ones if there is an outbreak. Well, major closures this weekend, including the busiest freeway interchange in Texas. ABC 13 traffic anchor Elisa Rivas has the detour to get you around the big West Loop construction closure.
Texas is setting records for hospitalizations due to COVID-19, and the CEO of the Texas Medical Center says there are enough beds, but not always enough staff to treat patients. Right now, the TMC is in phase 2 of their surge. This means they add or convert beds to continue to treat COVID patients. Hospital CEOs have been saying for weeks they have beds available because they were built into that surge. Over the past couple of days, hundreds of people have been waiting for a hospital bed. Yesterday alone, 200 people had to wait.
Happening today, 2 fundraisers being held for the family of murdered Houston soldier Vanessa Guillen. The first is at Perfect Choice Barbecue. That's on Galveston Road near Sims Bayou. It starts at noon or until plates are sold out. Barbecue plates, including brisket and chicken, are $10. Drive-through or pickup only, of course, due to COVID-19. Well, the second is happening at Powerhouse Gym, Houston. That's on Park Terrace near 610 and the 225 interchange. That starts at 2 p.m. ABC 13 reporter Steve Campion has been following the Guillen case from the very beginning. This week, he spoke with her family and has an update after President Trump said he has ordered an investigation into claims the 20-year-old was being harassed at Fort Hood before she was murdered. You can watch all the updates right now on abc13.com. Steve has also put together a 10-minute in-depth story on our connected TV apps. It is really engaging. It really tells you a lot about it. You can find it on Roku, Fire, and Apple TV.
A major disruption this weekend on the west side. A total closure of the West Loop northbound and southbound all the way through Monday morning at 5 a.m. Avoid the area or use Chimney Rock to get into the Galleria and Uptown areas. Also over toward downtown, beware some closures on the ramps. I-10 eastbound and westbound to 45. Of course, this isn't a total closure, but it could cause some backups through the area. And if you use the red line, this closure is of note. The red line Saturday and Sunday, the southern portion between Fannin South and the Downtown Transit Center, there will be free shuttles every 10 minutes, but give yourself some extra time due to the closure.
All right, good morning, 1017. Heat advisory in place until 8 p.m. That'll start at 11, but basically now index of 108 plus and already starting to warm up out there. Iris a little bit darker here. Let me step out of this here as we look towards Galveston. There you go, 88 degrees. It's up here. Feels like temp of 101. Let's look at Houston. So the latest coming in, it looks the high temperature will drop a little bit, especially when we get to the afternoon. It'll fluctuate a little depending on a little more southwest wind versus southeast wind. So we were at 90 a second ago, now we're at 89. It's going to fluctuate, but I think we will hit 101. And the feels like temp already 100 in Houston. Okay, that's enough, right? That's too much already. Here are your heat indices right now. 95 in Hallettsville, 97 LaGrange. But look at Katy and Houston, both at 100. 101 in Sugarland, 104 Bay City. You were at 114 yesterday. Yikes. Winnie already at 104. Galveston, 101. So the heat really continues. Forecast feels like temps for today. If you want to see this again, 109 to 111. Look at all the 111s on the board. 112 in Wharton potentially, 112 in Pasadena. Today is going to be super hot. So will tomorrow. And I think since we've had a heat advisory today, yesterday, we hit 100 yesterday, I think it's possible Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, because each of those days could have heat indices above 108. So we'll be watching it. Again, finally, we'll get a break next weekend. That rain finally returns, and we break the high pressure pattern. Get ready. These are the hottest days of summer. All right, we'll be back after this.
This morning, unique insight on the removal of Confederate monuments.
Yeah, ABC 13's Localish team got insight from a descendant of Confederate War General Robert E. Lee. His name is Robert W. Lee. He says even he wants to see his ancestors' statues taken down.
My name is Robert W. Lee IV, and I am the great nephew of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. With a name like Robert Lee, people were curious. People wanted to know, are you related to him? We were engaged in the conversation whether we wanted to be or not. You know, there's days I'll go to a home improvement store and hand my credit card over, and people will be like, oh, the South will rise again, which of course is coded language for white supremacy. So I grew up with this, and I knew also that eventually I would have to deal with it, whatever that meant. I would have to make a choice and choose whether to support the ideology of the lost cause in the South or engage in a deeper conversation about reckoning with my history. Being related to the person who has a statue that has been used not only in Richmond but in other places as a sign of the uplifting of white supremacy rhetoric and action, I could not sit idly by and allow people to use that, because that's ultimately not only Robert E. Lee's name, that's my name as well. And I'm not going to go down in history as someone who supports a racist legacy of a name. It was kind of a slow burn to get to the point we are today with the Monument Avenue statue in Richmond coming down, and other statues are coming down. The moment that I had to really reckon with my name and the history of it was the murder of the Charleston Nine at Mother Emanuel. The killer had indeed idolized Robert E. Lee. On top of that, Charlottesville, of course, in 2017 led to a moment of again reckoning for our country, but reckoning for me. But with George Floyd's death, with Breonna Taylor's death, with Ahmaud Arbery's death, this kind of groundswell of we have to change something has been a moment for us to have the conversation that needs to happen. And so for me, it's been kind of atoning for the past and talking about those things. I've written books, worked with leaders on, being a force of change instead of a force of the status quo. For those who might push back against this narrative that we need to talk about statues and remove them, I would ask them, what do they value in statues? Because I think our statues say a lot more about what we value than what we can learn. We can't just rest here, because there's plenty of statues left, and there's plenty of monuments that aren't made of stone. There's a myriad of issues that don't just stop when we take down the statues. Robert E. Lee enslaved people. He fought for the state's rights to enslave people. I mean, we just can't get around that. But I also think that we can address it faithfully and talk about the ways to be redeemed. We don't have to stay on that course. And I think that's the ultimate lesson that we can learn from this history of the South, is that though we've made some huge mistakes in the past, that doesn't have to be our future.
Okay, well, very interesting perspective there for sure. Well, stop what you're doing now and take a look at this. An ABC 13 viewer spotted Comet Neowise in northwest Harris County last night. That's not a plane, it's pretty cool, a comet. This is the view of the sky over FM 1960 near Stubner Airline. It was going northwest above the horizon just after sunset. It's called Neowise after a NASA mission. The comet will be closest to Earth July 22nd. After that, it won't be back for another 6,800 years.
That's a little, I gotta be honest,
again.
that's a little misleading though. That's that specific comet for another 7,000 years, which we won't be here for. But plenty of other comets you'll see in your lifetime probably, but this one is very bright. So catch it, and you can catch it any time now between the middle of August, but as they said, July 22nd, it'll be the brightest in the sky. Guys, really amazing sight. About 90 minutes before sunrise, you can see it to the east and southeast, 90 minutes after sunset to the north and northwest, just above the horizon. All right, the heat is on. No surprise here, hundreds the next 4 days.
Yeah, drink plenty of water, stay safe out there, and thank you all for joining us on this Saturday morning.
We'll see you tomorrow, bright and early at 6 a.m.
Don't forget, Saturday Extra coming up right now, 4 minutes. Enjoy.